I'm not a graphic designer, but my goal is that you all leave here with just some practical advice on how you can stay competitive in this crazy market. Before we get started, a little bit about me. I am the CCO at FEXA. It is a facilities management tool. I've also worked at 11 startups now, partnered with 6 first-time CEO founders. I've had 4 companies, now it should be 5 exits. Officially 2 months ago, I've had my 5th exit, woohoo. Also, quite a few that have not made it or are still kind of like the little engine that could, chugging along trying to figure out what they want to be when they grow up. I've also owned other things in the organization such as HR, finance, sales, marketing. I have about a decade's worth of HR experience. I have one of my former team members who's worked with me twice and experienced me as an HR leader and a CCO. So I will also call out mom, wife, fur mom, former roller derby girl, Diet Coke addict, lover of bad jokes, all of those things. That's me. So before I dive in, I want to know who I have here and get a sense of the room. Quick show of hands if you are currently looking for a job. About 4, 3, 4. Okay, not many. What about if you're actively hiring right now? A few hands. So you all saw who raised their hand that's looking, and now you see who's hiring. You can stalk them on break. And then I just want to get a show of hands if you're neither hiring or looking. You're just here to figure out what the hell is going on in this weird market. Everybody, right? Yeah. Well, I unfortunately can't predict the future, but hopefully we can kind of try to make a little bit of sense of some of it together. All right, here's where we're going to go. So first we're going to talk about what's changed. Then we're going to talk a little bit about AI, because what would a presentation be if we didn't talk about AI? We have to talk about it all the time now. How candidates, if you are looking, can help yourself stand out. And if you're a hiring manager, a few tweaks that I think you should make in your interview process. All right, so what's changed? This is a slide I shared on stage in London early 2022. And man, what a different world we are in right now. If you look at this, and I don't know, who here tried to hire in 21, 22, and it was just so tough. Like, there were like 5 jobs available for every candidate or some crazy metric like that. It made it really impossible to attract talent, which then drove the salaries up, which then led to kind of where we are today. And again, this is early 2022. And the next slide I'm showing, it's not going to compare apples to apples, but it's really interesting. We had about 47.4% of folks that responded to my survey, and it was a decent sample size of I think I had about 800 respondents. They just weren't looking. Okay, this is a few days ago. Again, not apples to apples. I asked a different question. I had a few hundred respondents, and I mean, the data here, while again you can't do comparison, is pretty clear. We have a lot of people now who have been on the market greater than 6 months, where it used to take a month or 2 to land your next job. A lot of people who have been on the market now between 12 to 18 months, and even greater than 18 months. I talk to a lot of folks in customer success looking for their next opportunity. I maintain a spreadsheet of folks that are on the market either passively or actively, and it's just a different environment. All right, so here are a few bullet points that kind of summarize where we are with the job market in 2025. Competition is fierce. So if you think, and I'm going to show some statistics from layoffs.fyi if you don't follow that. As a leader, I highly suggest you bookmark that and just open it up to get an understanding of what's going on in tech. But there's been a lot of layoffs. Funding dried up for a lot of early stage startups. And what resulted was folks having to reshift and take a look at their P&L and their budgets and figure out what do we absolutely need and what do we not need. And unfortunately, customer success was hit very hard, and we're going to talk a little bit about why, but I'll give you a little snapshot. It's all about revenue ownership. As somebody who helped wind a company down, personally laid off about 70 people, when I was looking at the budget, the first thing I looked at is who's driving revenue. If you're driving revenue, you were immediately safe from that first round of layoffs. If you weren't, I had to take a look at your role a little deeper to figure out, do you make it on the list or not, right? So where we have to go is making sure that we are setting up our teams and ourselves to be able to drive revenue impact, have commercial acumen. Everybody should know their numbers and know the levers into those numbers and how they can personally impact those numbers. And I'm also adding in here, AI fluency is really big. Executives and companies are getting a lot of pressure to run their teams leaner. So what Josh said in his presentation, what he showed us all, this is a way for us to work smarter, not harder. What did you say? Do the same with less, do more with less, right? The pressure is on, and I believe AI is definitely the way there. I also just want to call out that getting budget to hire is harder than ever. I don't know if anybody here has had to get budget to hire over the last year or two. Did you have to build a business case? Yeah, it's real. So just a quick state of the state. Here's the reality check. While layoffs are trending down compared to 2023, we're still not in the clear. And every layoff means more and more talent is being dumped into the market, which means there's more competition for every open role. And these are just facts. You're like, great, Miranda. Thanks for all the doom and gloom in this very hot room. Really appreciate it. So now what? What do we actually do about it? So we have to fundamentally shift how we think about hiring and getting hired, and honestly, how we develop our talent. So even if you're not one of the folks that said you're hiring or you're looking to get hired, I'm assuming many of you in here are functioning in a customer success role, either as a leader or a customer success manager. This is the call for you all to fundamentally shift how you think about developing your talent and tying a number to yourself. I've personally hired multiple folks over the past few years, and I have to tell you, we're still falling short on both sides of this equation, on the candidate side and the employer side. And here are some shifts that I want to call out. So I still see resumes from customer success managers that tell me what their NPS was or what their CSAT was. And that's great. High five, you had a great CSAT, great NPS. First things first, CSAT is not a customer success metric. Second thing, NPS, while it's a great fluffy metric, I don't believe it drives revenue. And I'm not alone in that. I took NPS off from my board deck 5 years ago, and my board thanked me. They thanked me. They asked me, why did you take it off? I said, I couldn't make a clear correlation between the high NPS and the renewals. They thanked me. It's a shift. We have to own the influence on revenue if we can't own it directly. I'm sure some people will come up to me here today and say, okay, so you're saying I need to own revenue, but my sales team owns the revenue. How do I get that number moved to me from them for the upsell, for the renewal? Start first with proving your influence and showing how you have influenced the outcome of the renewal and the outcome of the upsell. Start small with CSQLs, customer success qualified leads. Track them, report on them. Talk to your leader about making that part of their slide deck when they're presenting to the board. Other things that I want to call out, showcasing AI and data influence. This data fluency. This is the biggest opportunity for both leaders and CSMs, because guess what? We're all just starting down this AI path right now. We're only a couple years in. So it's it's a level playing field, so to speak. So there's no excuse for any of us to not go out, learn these tools and get the tricks and everything down, because it's a level playing field right now. Will that be the case in a couple of years? Probably not. So the opportunity is now. A couple other things I just want to call out for candidates. Soft skills just aren't enough anymore. They're a big part of the equation, but you have to make sure you're tying everything to ROI. So if you are somebody who is reading resumes or actively applying, or if you are developing your teams, make sure you're teaching them how to tie what they do to ROI. It's going to be crucial. Okay. So I talked a little bit about this on the previous slide, but the next couple of slides I'm going to unpack a little bit more. So 70 to 85% of jobs are filled through a network and not posted. Isn't that crazy? When I saw that stat, it blew my mind, which is why I've been saying this for years. It is so important that you build your network before you need it. What you're doing here today is a great step. The next step is when we leave this very hot room, you all talk to each other. Get to meet somebody that you haven't met before, connect with them on LinkedIn, engage with their content, liking it, commenting on it, making yourself top of mind. I am hiring right now, and I have a candidate who is the most zealous candidate I've ever had. If you look at my last post for the last week or two, you will see he has commented on every single post, but he keeps himself top of mind for me. And if you go look at my LinkedIn post, you'll probably know who it is immediately. And I love it. So I've already called out giving resumes with actual results. If you have to put down tactical things on resumes, that's okay, but make sure you're leading with outcomes first. Put the tactical things down, like, I helped build a tool. Great, that's cool, but to what end? So start with the outcomes first. Show your commercial acumen. If you are not in a role as a leader or a CSM to be able to have that commercial acumen naturally develop, figure out a way to weave that in. I've done that at multiple companies now, and it's as simple as building up an OKR spreadsheet in Google Sheets where every week a CSM has to go in and track what is your retention, what is your NRR, how many CSQLs did you identify this month. You do the small things to help build that foundation, which then helps build up the walls. And then again, show your AI chops. Here is just a few things that I'm suggesting for leaders to do, and I give some examples of questions to ask. I'm guilty of this too. I get a little burned out. I've interviewed 15, 20 people for a role in a week, and I get on and I'm like, tell me about yourself. It's just kind of the, okay, I'm going to exhale right now. Tell me about yourself. We got to stop doing that. We got to come up with real questions that show value, show outcome, because as a leader, if you only get one hire for the year, you want to make sure you get it right. And here's a few questions that I suggest. So map outcomes. So how have you influenced renewal at risk? How do you create an account plan while keeping NRR top of mind? That is going to sort out the folks that had their AI written, or had AI write their resume versus the folks that actually know the meat and potatoes. And then I'm just gonna touch on the last one here. This is something new that I'm starting to suggest folks do, but start testing for AI fluency in your CSMs. There's no reason for customer success managers to not be able to meet this bar. Again, it's a pretty level playing field. Give them a data set. Tell them to use AI to analyze this and then come back with their suggestions. Ask them to create a custom GPT that helps prep a QBR and then share it during their interview process. Walk through how they created that custom GPT and what the outputs were. Really simple things that ChatGPT will actually tell them step by step how to do, but will be really impactful if you bring somebody with that skill set into your org. I'll wait for your picture. There you go. All right, I've been saying this for a few years, but revenue ownership is not optional anymore. How many folks here, quick show of hands, own revenue in their organization directly? So 30% maybe? How many here see a clear path to revenue ownership in their organization? Anyone want to shout out what's like the biggest barrier? Sales.
Yeah, because they want to own it too, and right now they also do the retention or renewal as well, and we're more of a
Supporting player in that.
I think that we have that direct relation with the revenue, but they don't want to get rid of it.
Okay, so I think that is more common than not, and you know, I keep telling people like revenue ownership. If you are in a situation like that, first thing first is to figure out the account team structure and then work with leadership to find out a comp model that makes sales happy and CS happy. What I did at a previous organization, and Mike was there, is have gross retention be an individual goal of the CSM, but net be the team goal. Because I didn't care if the upsell got across via an AE or an AM or via CSM, and if everybody had that shared goal, it was no longer, that was mine, no, that was mine, no, that was mine. But you have to have top leadership buy-in to do that, and if you can get some kind of shared goal on the upsell motion, it'll move a lot quicker. Okay, I have 12 minutes, so the next few slides I'm just going to quickly talk about some fundamental mindset shifts that need to be made in customer success, and leaders, it's our responsibility to help bring folks along in order for us to be competitive. Okay, I shared the next two slides on LinkedIn already, actually last week, so if anybody here follows me already, you've probably be like, oh, this looks familiar. I'm not going to sit here and read all of these to you because we don't have time, but there is some big mindset shifts here that we need to make as an industry, in our organizations, as leadership. And I have one more slide with mindset shifts as well. I'm pausing until I see the cameras go down. And you can also just look at my LinkedIn and get these. This is the last one that I'm calling out, mindset shift for CSMs in order to be competitive. And I want to remind leaders, it is not just our jobs to build solid CSMs for our current organization. I take the responsibility as a leader very seriously. I'm building a CSM for their career alongside of them, and that's the mindset. If you work through these shifts collectively as a practice, we're just going to get better, right? All right. Again, you can see my great design skills at play here, but I want to introduce what I call the CS Superpower Matrix. And on the x-axis, we have AI fluency, low to high. On the y-axis, we have revenue impact, low to high. Bottom left is legacy CS. This is the focus on keeping customers happy, but we're not moving the business forward. So we're probably doing a good job working in the business, but we're not doing a great job working on the business. They're reactive, they answer questions, but they're not tying their work back to impact. That's the bottom left. Bottom right is tech first, but shallow with other areas. These people, they know their way around AI tools, but they can't connect what they're doing to retention or expansion or ROI. They're busy, but they're not driving outcomes. Top left is relationship builders. They've got the strong renewal and expansion stories, but they're not using AI. and they can't scale. So then the last one is the top right. These are the CS leaders of the future, the sweet spot, high revenue impact, high AI influence, or high AI fluency. These are the people anticipate customer needs, drive outcomes, use AI as an amplifier. They're not just keeping up, they're really shaping the future. Okay, now reflection. I'm not going to ask anybody to raise your hands, but I want you to think about where you sit on this, where your teams sit on this, and then start thinking about a way to get yourself up and to the right to just increase your competitiveness. All right. I have 8 minutes, so I'm going to move really quickly. Again, I want to go back to just saying to everyone, as a reminder, we don't get a lot of headcount these days. So we need to be very explicit about the roles that we are hiring for, how we scope them out, have a firm understanding of where you need to be in 6 months to 12 months from now. Every hire you make, even if you have, let's say you have a budget for 5 in 2026, operate like that's going to be cut. It'll change how you hire. It'll change the way you look at your next hire. Hire for the mindset of revenue literacy. And if you're an early stage, I'm going to call this out because we're in the heart of Silicon Valley here, don't hire someone just because of the name that they come from, the logo they come from. Don't get me wrong. I love Google. I love Apple. I love Oracle. I love all of those logos. I think they have very talented individuals there. But I've seen on multiple occasions people get so tripped up on what company people are coming from that they miss out on some amazing talent. All right, let's quickly talk about 2026 and beyond. As I said in the beginning, I can't tell the future, but based on what I'm seeing, I believe that this is the direction that we're going. AI native roles will become standard. Again, referring to what Josh said, I'm hearing more and more talk about agents. So I think this is going to be really, really relevant. Revenue literacy is going to be a baseline and not just a differentiator. It's going to be required. Soft skills, things that AI can't do, it's going to be big. But you're going to need to be literate with AI, plus carry yourself with the soft skills. Lastly, hybrid candidates, so candidates that can flex are going to be gold. All right, just a few key takeaways. I know there are a lot of takeaways that I could share. Markets have changed. We all know that. Hiring environment is crazy competitive right now, and I don't see that changing. Budgets are tight. You want to make a difference? First things you should do, increase your AI literacy. Start now if you're not already doing something. It's so easy. There's so much content out there. And really dig in on figuring out how to tie yourself to revenue. How can you make your sales team look like rock stars in your organization? They're like, oh, here, do more, right? All right, any questions? I have 5 minutes. Oh. Yeah, so it's a good question. So what I was saying about becoming competitive in the hiring market is I think that the way, yes, we will be specializing, right, depending on the stage that you're in. I'm in a growth stage startup, so specialization's the name of the game. Early stage startup, generalist is generally the name of the game. However, what I'm saying here is I'm seeing the market shift to loving people with these robust backgrounds that have done product, have done sales, have done CS, so they understand the full scope of the business. I don't know if that answers the question. It's less about It's less about changing your hiring motion or how you develop talent, and more about the way I'm seeing the talent market go in favor. Any other questions? Yes?
I have a lot of really great relationship builder CSMs.
Yes.
If you could recommend one activity or upskilling type of motion.
Yeah.
What would you recommend?
So relationship builder, so I'm assuming they're held accountable for NPS and stuff like that?
No, they own revenue,
Okay.
but they aren't using AI. They aren't necessarily because they're very much focused on like building the relationship, making sure the customer knows the challenges.
Yeah.
With the companies.
It's a great question. So what I have done recently is held an AI brainstorm with my entire org. I'm like, it's blue sky. Pretend that money is not an object, even though it is. What would we want to solve with AI? We wrote it all out, and then we went through and highlighted things we could solve with the current technology stack that we have, with in another color in investment, and then everybody is taking little things on as their projects as part of their OKRs for the next quarter. And the way I run OKRs is every Friday you have to update with a % complete and a color, so it's very visible to everyone in the organization. I would maybe start there. Also, maybe have them go in and create some custom GPTs. That'll increase their confidence. So you want to do confidence building things and then have them teach back to your organization how they did that. It is really simple. So just a couple little things like that to build the confidence, and I bet you'll be off to the races. Yes?
Just to add on to that, like I think one of the things as leaders that we need to do is make sure our metrics are aligning with the outcomes we want.
100%.
Right? So NPS, upsells, cross-sells, other things. How do we really make that a direct line to what we're asking of our teams to get them up into the right?
Totally agree. Any other questions? Okay, well, I want to thank everybody for hanging in there with me. Feel free, if we're not connected on LinkedIn, send me an invite. I don't have a code like Josh does. I'm just Miranda Dekonsky. You'll find me on there. Thank you again.
Thank you, Miranda. All right.